Welcome to Machine Minds, where technology and humanity meet. I'm your host, Greg Tarusian, founder of Samson Rose, a recruiting and search business focused on the robotics and AI industries. The Machine Minds show is where we dive deep into the intricate world of robotics and artificial intelligence. As a staffing industry leader with a passion for the frontiers of technology, I'm pleased to be bringing you intimate conversations with the founders, investors, and trailblazers who are at the heart of the AI and robotics revolution. In each episode, we dig into their journeys, the applications of the products they're working on, and the breakthroughs that are shaping our future. Join us as we explore how these machine minds are transforming the way we live, work, and understand our world. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a tech enthusiast, or just curious about this amazing field, you'll learn something new with each episode. Let's delve into the extraordinary. Let's delve into machine minds. Hello and welcome to Machine Minds. I'm your host, Greg Tarusian, founder of Samson Rose, your robotics talent search partner. And on today's episode, I'm joined by Benjamin Bond, VP of Strategy and Business Development at Simbe. Thanks for being on the show today, Benjamin.
It's so great to be with you, Greg. Thank you for having me.
I appreciate you taking the time. Let's jump into it. Look, I'd love to start with a quick intro. So can you tell us a bit about yourself and your role at Simbe?
Absolutely. So I have the pleasure of leading Simbe's strategic efforts, which stretches a lot of different capacities. So first and foremost, I am responsible for really thinking about where is Simbe going as a company. And we're at this incredible time in the industry where there's so many paths that we could potentially take to best support and innovate in retail. And that also includes how we think about partnering with the broader retail ecosystem. There's so much exciting innovation taking place across retail technology. And so we're always thinking about creatively, ways that we can better partner and integrate across that ecosystem. And then the other piece of my work that I am really passionate about is working very closely with our clients. So I'll share more, but I come from a background of consulting in the retail industry. And I really focus on how we can ensure that our clients are not only having the technology work as they expect it to, but really that they're getting tremendous value from it and supporting them in all aspects through that journey.
I think that's so important, that customer success element and like making sure you're having the impact so they keep adopting it and keep using it and speak highly of you. Otherwise, I was actually having dinner with the CEO from a robotics company. They do a lot in like the industrial space and like logistics space. He's like, the amount of facilities I go to that have, and he came actually from the medical space beforehand. It's like you'd see so many robots just turn into like coat hangers that just sat in the corner when you go to these facilities because there's no one there to make sure that they're being used properly, or that it's successful, or that salesperson's now moved on and they have no point of contact. So
right.
Yeah, it's crucial.
We really have to meet our clients where they are. And we are in the fortunate position to be working with retailers that are at all different stages of maturity. And what's so exciting about this space is that there's, really advanced use cases where we can, integrate really deeply with other advanced retail technology platforms that our clients are using and give them all sorts of opportunities to, optimize their machine learning algorithms and decision-making engines. But then we also work with clients that are, really just starting out in their technology advancement progression and, be it deploying omnichannel for the first time or really just thinking about how they can get their stores to work better. We'll support them in any stage in that sense. And that's really been a trend over the course of my career, coming from the retail space originally and then moving into consulting, always thinking about how can we build a better future for that retailer and thinking about it in a very logical way that's going to be realistic for them to achieve.
Interesting. Yeah. So let's talk more about your background, because obviously before diving into Simbe, you've done a lot, and you mentioned you've been in that retail space. Can you share some of that formative experiences and how your career path, or what your career path was leading up to this point in this role?
Yeah, absolutely. So for whatever reason, I've always just been really passionate about retail, and in particular, the experiences that retailers and brands can create. So that's kind of one side. And then the other side of my experience is always getting really excited about the idea of new ventures and innovation and pushing the boundaries of, where an industry is at that point in time. And so my entire career has been in retail. I actually started in the fashion industry, and over the years have worked across basically every retail sector, and always have been really focused on the intersection of growth strategy and growth enablement, and working with client leadership teams to really build the plans for the future, and then ultimately realize those plans. So starting in my early days, my first job was with Calvin Klein, managing some of their wholesale businesses, and then doing the same for Ralph Lauren. So really very early on in my career, working with two of some of the greatest global consumer brands who are really well known for bringing to life really special curated experiences. And what is unique about fashion is there's always this focus on being very aspirational in terms of the retail experience and curating that for the consumer. And so that sort of brought in this mindset of how can you always further the offering for the consumer and make it that much more special and relevant for them, and always keep them coming back. And then moving over into the consulting world, I transitioned and joined Accenture through a smaller retail strategy firm called Kurt Salmon, and spent about 5 years there, and then ultimately moving over to Carney, which is another global strategy firm, and really spent those years working with retailer C-suites and focusing on these moments or these decisions that really mattered most to them. And there were instances where we would be working with a client to recover their business or deal with a really unique issue, or plot a path for the future where they weren't really sure where to go. And having that opportunity to deal with these difficult issues at the moments when it really counted was something where you were able to gain this invaluable experience of making those really tough decisions despite a tremendous amount of ambiguity. So I had the chance to work with many of the top retailers in North America. You think like Nike, Walgreens, Best Buy, REI, Grocery Outlet, helping them address these really difficult challenges.
Thing. It's a really great background then, and probably puts you in such a unique position for the role that you're in right now and the companies that you guys are trying to service, for sure. So Simbe, that you're known for pioneering inventory management and in-store analytics and all of that stuff, but as you mentioned, your background spans a variety of different areas. What motivated your transition specifically into this field or this kind of product?
There were a few specific things that went into that decision. I mean, first of all, like I mentioned, I've always been excited by the startup space and technological innovation. So when Simbe originally reached out, I felt like it was the exact type of company that I would want to join. In addition, just the fact that it is a company that is so squarely at the center of robotics, automation, artificial intelligence. You think about what the next decade or two is going to look like for the retail industry. This is really, a space that is going to drive a tremendous amount of change. And so it felt like the right time to make that pivot and double down on some of these, really significant change factors, as well as thinking about and focusing more on this very specific issue where the store is in many ways retail's last data desert. Retailers have done an amazing job at digitizing every aspect of their business, all the way upstream through their supply chain, understanding exactly where goods are coming from, where they are in the process, handling all these potential dynamics of variability, and then everything downstream with, that is consumer facing. Think about all the progress around digital commerce, loyalty, personalization. Every single touch point with the consumer is monitored and measured. But when you think about what is actually taking place in the store, retailers know what comes into the store and they know what goes out of the store. But everything that happens in the middle there is really unknown. And you reflect, and across most sectors, we're still at a place where 70 to 80% of total retail volume is still happening in stores. So when you're thinking about how can you make the greatest
Is it
impact
really?
Absolutely. I mean,
Wow, I didn't realize that.
e-commerce is continuing to grow dramatically, but you especially look at certain sectors like grocery, for example. That transaction volume is still being really driven by the stores, and especially when you start to think about where omni-channel orders are being fulfilled from, you add that layer on top of the store business. Those stores are really a critical hub, and so when you're thinking about where can you make a big impact in the retail ecosystem, there's this space which is uh, you know we don't have that visibility, and that's really what Simbe is working to provide. And so by creating data from what is happening inside the store, we're able to identify so many opportunities for improvement, not only in the store, but then across the entire value chain.
Amazing. Yeah, I want to dive into a bit more of that in terms of what you offer as products and stuff. But before we go there, I'm curious about the. I know you haven't for the audience anyway. We were talking a bit offline. You've been with the company about 8 months. Feels like a lot longer in the startup world. We all think everyone can relate to that. Most of our listeners. The company's been around since 2014, though, right? So, what was the, if you know anyway, or you can share with us, like the origin stories, the early days, and um, kind of problems that Simbi set out to solve initially.
Yeah. Well, um, I'm not a founder, as you can gather, but uh, Simbe is actually really unique. So our company has grown tremendously. We've crossed so many significant milestones, but uh, we still have all of the original founding team in the company. So Brad, our CEO, of course, Shaw, our CTO, and Jeff, our Chief Design Officer. It is really a special story in the sense that all of these gentlemen uniquely came together across their different paths between their undergraduate education and then kind of reconvening at this robotics and computer vision think tank called Willow Garage. And you had this group of founders who were incredibly talented in this robotics, computer vision, automation technology space, and we're really thinking about where is there specific issues across our economy where we think there's an opportunity for automation to play a role and to really make things better. And they set out and did a significant amount of research and really identified retail as one of these spaces where there was so much opportunity for automation. When you think about all of the work that's taking place in the retail ecosystem, there's so much effort that is put into things that are really just monotonous, boring, and highly repeatable activities. And so just the pure activity of thinking about how do we get the right product on the shelf and ensuring that the shelf is what we need it to look like and that we're executing at the shelf appropriately. Tremendous hours going into that. And they really felt like there was inefficiency in that process where automation could play a significant role. And that was really what kicked off the whole thesis. Along the way, so many interesting decisions that were made. I think what is particularly intriguing is the design choices that went into creating Tally, which is the robot that Simbe is so famous for, and ensuring that it would also be a robot that would be effective in that space, but also well received. So, we all are all shopping every day. Stores are highly variable environments. Usually we're trying to just get in, get out. It can get crowded. And then, also sometimes the idea of robotics feels a little scary, a little uncertain. And the way that Jeff in particular created this robot where it's not scary, it's actually really friendly and it's personable. And, we have kids that will go up and hug Tally and, it's safe. Tally doesn't, run into people. That was a lot of really unique decisions along the way that have ultimately made this a solution that retailers are excited about and consumers find interesting and inspiring. And then, of course, along the way, having retail partners that want to work with us, especially, now we're at this stage where it's just so great. We're scaling across so many retail partners and we're able to come in and, week one, we're making an impact on their business. But in the very early days of the company, there were still a lot of new problems that had to be solved. And we were figuring out what is the right way to work in these environments, and having retail partners that wanted to innovate with us was just critical. And so you think about a partner like, Schnucks, for example, who has been one of those really special partners for us, and sort of a co-innovator. And so they took the chance on us and have been tremendously forward thinking in terms of the potential of what this type of technology could bring, but then also in terms of how they've been able to leverage and integrate that data.
It's awesome. I think that's a great point to drive home as well for other startups or aspiring founders and things like that on the customer side, really finding those key, especially early on, key customers that are going to help innovate, give feedback, move with you and develop and iterate with you to make a product that they're going to use, that the industry is going to use, and that's going to be a long-term solution, instead of like, hey, we're just putting this band-aid on this one problem and we'll use it until we find something better. I think that's super useful, super valuable. So we also spoke offline a bit about this huge milestone that you guys just hit, the Series C funding, which is amazing. And I'm sure you guys have had other milestones as well. So can you tell us more about what this latest injection of capital means for you guys and how it's going to help propel the company forward?
Yeah. Well, we're so excited and incredibly fortunate to have investors that believe in us, and in particular having this Series C round led by Goldman Sachs, growth equity, an investment team that has had so much success scaling businesses, and will be an incredible resource for us going forward. Also thinking about answering this question about where we go versus where we are today, and I maybe just to set context for the listeners quickly. So Simbe, we're very well known for our robot tally. Really what we are at the heart, though, is a computer vision company that is delivering shelf intelligence to retailers. And really what we do as we operate on the interior of stores is through tally and other means, we collect data about what is actually happening in the store. And really anything that you or I would see walking into a store, that's data that we can collect, and then we can compare and contrast that data with what we have expected to see. And where there's points of contrast in that data versus what we expect, there's usually some sort of opportunity. And that oftentimes shows up in really simplistic things about let's get the right product back on the shelf, or let's get the price tag right. But that visibility actually really compounds. And when you think about looking across the retailer organization and saying to any given individual in that company, you can now see what's happening at any of your stores at any point in time, that's going to change how they make certain decisions, be it in terms of marketing, category management, merchandising, asset protection, just thinking about how they can better manage their overall store fleet. These are all solutions and insights that we provide. And so
when you say, just to clarify, when you say you can see what's happening in the store at any time, is tally going around just as a retail customer would, and you're looking at like inventory on the shelves, like you mentioned, the price tags and things like that, just looking at the layout, the setup, what's in stock, what's out of stock, positioning, stuff like that? Or are we going, and I don't know if this is just like too forward looking, but maybe you can tell me, are we thinking about things like customer behavior as well? Like, oh, you mentioned marketing, right? Oh, that people are coming in, they spend X amount of time here, or people are looking at this product more so than this one, or comparing these two and more, and you can give that data back to retailers or even CPG companies.
It's a great question, Greg, and it's not the the first time I've been asked. Consumers ask, our clients ask. Really, we're focused on everything other than the people. We don't collect data on what people are doing. We're really focused on everything else that is non-human in the store. So that includes things like, to your point, the product, where it is, what it's priced at, as well as what is the layout of the store, what the marketing collateral looks like, how certain fixtures are displayed, all of those other facets when it comes to basically how the store is brought to life and ultimately how the retailer is executing in the store.
Awesome. Again, just thinking out loud, do you have like a pool of data, anonymous data, with different retailers that you can share with customers, whether it is like pricing or what's working or what's not working or how other people are doing stuff? Or is that more proprietary?
So we're very protective of our customers' proprietary data. Ultimately, we want to ensure that we're giving them insights about their business that they can action first and foremost. We are in the fortunate position where we can obviously see the results of what all of our clients are realizing. And so that helps, particularly when we're thinking about launching with a new customer or answering questions from our clients about, is this good? Is this bad? And so, we can say, well, this is what we've seen across, the 29 different banners that we're currently working in, and understanding maybe there's some unique elements for this specific format, or, if you're operating in a specific region, we can give a little bit of guidance there. And ultimately, giving them clarity on what they should be expecting and a little bit of a look around the corner of not just what number should I be expecting or be trying to achieve, but also how do I get there, and really giving them those best practices, because we've been able to do this so many times over.
Awesome.
I wanted
Thanks for that. And sorry for going off on a tangent there, but yeah, carry on.
No, I wanted to go back to your earlier question about the Series C. So we've had 50 million of new capital injected into the business, and we think about this promise of bringing true visibility to retailers, what's happening in stores, and there's so much potential in terms of how we collect the data, how we deliver these insights to the to the customer rather. There's a tremendous opportunity for us to build better products, better offerings, and really invest in our customers and bring things to life that are going to be really most relevant to their business, as well as thinking about further expanding, be it across retail sectors, as well as globally. So those are just a few of the areas where we're going to be investing quite a bit in the coming year.
It's awesome. Where are you looking to expand to? Do you have certain markets already that you're working with, or ones that are in mind?
We typically think about expansion on a customer basis. First and foremost, we look for customers where it's going to deliver a really strong return for them. And we always want to start first and foremost with, is this going to be right for their business? But when we think about where a lot of those potential customers currently are today, obviously Europe has tremendous retail presence, high degree of retailer maturity. We have a phenomenal team that's already based in Europe, and we're looking to further scale those operations and invest in those retailers in Europe. Of course, we're headquartered in the United States and have really built a tremendous business here. And then, the natural progression is thinking about Canada, Mexico, and then, Australia is another one that has a really robust and mature retail industry. But again, when we think about customer first, we're fortunately a company that can operate very successfully, remotely, autonomously. These are robots that we can deploy them, and they're really doing the work. So we get inquiries all the time from South America, Asia, and we of course want to support those retailers as well.
Right. Cool. Thanks for sharing. So you mentioned the computer vision element, how at heart that's really what you guys are as a company. Like, core technology. Is there any other key tech behind Tally or behind what you guys are doing in general at Simbe, and what makes that stand out?
Tally is a robot that is very cute and simple on the surface, um, but looks can be deceiving. And uh, operating hundreds, thousands of robots globally autonomously at any given time is actually really complex. And the sensing technology that is in an individual Tally is incredibly robust. 13 different cameras, lidar, many different types of sensors, as well as thinking about computer vision, not only in terms of how we can best extract data from the images that we capture in stores, but also just how the robot itself makes decisions about how to navigate the store. When it needs to go around something, when it needs to stop and give a person their space. So all of that decision making is happening autonomously. And then as we kind of move from sensing into insight into action, we have this progression of extracting, data via computer vision from millions of images, uh, ex- delivering those insights in a prioritized manner to the retailer. So we have a number of interfaces, be it web, be it mobile, where we're giving our clients and their users very specific things to action against, and also enabling that feedback mechanism where they can tell us if it helped them or if maybe we got something wrong. And so between robotics, computer vision, presenting those synthesized insights, leveraging machine learning to prioritize, building new models for when we're encountering new retail environments or new situations. There's really a tremendous and robust, deep technology that's taking place at almost every aspect of our business.
Very cool. And how do you think that you guys differ from other people? Because obviously there's several tech players that have entered the scene, or other solutions, right? But not just in technology, but also in approach. How is Simbe different?
I would say a number of different ways. Uh, First and foremost, uh, we believe that robotics is the superior capture modality for computer vision in retail. Now, we're very conscious of the fact that uh, the ideal state for computer vision in retail environments is multiple modalities. And what's unique about robotics specifically is it presents the easiest opportunity to have computer vision coverage for the majority of the store in the shortest amount of time. That said, ideal state is you have robotics operating in the store. Maybe there's certain, really high volume, high traffic areas of the store where you want more frequent data delivery. Maybe you want a fixed camera solution. Maybe there's other capture modalities that you want to be able to leverage as well. And so what makes Simbe unique is, one, first and foremost, we have the most advanced robotics solution in the market. Secondly, the design and form factor is bar none and has received a tremendously positive reception from consumers. So when we think about how retailers also think about ensuring that their experience is consistent and reflective of what they want to be presenting in the market, we have a solution that's not going to detract from that in any ways, and in fact is ultimately additive to it. But additionally, we're the only player in market today with multiple capture modalities. So we're known for Tally. Tally is the right solution for, 80%, 90% of the store. But we also do have fixed camera solutions, as well as being able to leverage RFID sensing. And so we're really bringing that full offering to our customers so that they can have maximum coverage at any point in time, but also have it in a way where those insights are going to be unified for them.
Nice. Love that. Perfect. Let's look to the future for a second. And what role do you see automation and robotics playing in retail, like 5-10 years from now? And how do you guys envision the store of the future?
That's a great question. I think about what we do at Simbe as supporting our customers, the retailers, deliver on their promise to their customers, the consumer, employees, brand partners. There's so much complexity today that is being pushed into stores that most stores need help. And Tally and Simbe are a great way to help, free up some space for those retailers to be able to then tackle all these other hard things that are coming their way. And, retail is one of these industries that is always striving for perfection and excellence, and always perfectly anticipating the needs of the consumer and really thinking about the consumer as a guest in their space. And so we're really looking forward to just helping them in that journey. And, ultimately we want to get people focused on people. Like I was saying at the beginning, there's so many activities in a retail store where the associate is working on something that actually isn't directly facing the customer, and just things that can easily be automated. And that's where we want to play a role so that we can get that associate focusing on the customer and helping them to better their experience. And so that's really where we think things are going now. Of course, there's going to be greater digital integration. There's going to be other opportunities for automation. But ultimately, we want to let retailers define the path that they want to take in terms of elevating their experience and just supporting them in that process.
Amazing. Let's talk about team dynamics for a second. It's always something I like to touch on. Obviously, I'm biased on the topic or the importance of the topic because of my recruiting background and focus. But in your role, you must work across multiple teams and to drive Simbe's goals. What does it take to assemble and maintain a high-performing team in a fast-evolving space like robotics and just the industry that you guys operate in?
It's so important that you have a team that is flexible and agile and is really comfortable operating in ambiguity. A phrase that I like to use with my team is, just ride the wave, because there's new things that are coming at you every single day. And the function of being a startup, what's exciting is we're at a size where we can move incredibly quickly. Going to the point of agility, we can see something that we need to do in market and we can take action and show results the next day. At the same time, we are a relatively small company as far as, other technology players go. And so we're always in a position where there's things that we know we could do, but we know we can't get to that day. So being comfortable being in that position of knowing that, you have 20 things that you want to go do, but you can only get to 2 or 3 of them today, and being comfortable in that environment, and then knowing that those 20 things are always going to be changing at any given point in time. And that's, partially because we're in this space where the technology is constantly advancing. We're also in a world where, these types of companies, it's still relatively new, and we're defining what this future is going to look like in partnership with our retail customers. And so that's ever changing, and being comfortable with that change, I think, is something that's really important.
That's a good point. I mean, I've heard before, comfortable with ambiguity or, wearing multiple hats and all that stuff, because obviously in the startup world, it's kind of goes without saying, but phrasing it in that way, I think, is very important, because I talk to people sometimes, whether they're founders or leaders of the department, and I call it like shiny object syndrome, where they want employees from certain companies and that's it. They're like, oh, that name brand we want to hire from. And then when you dig down into it, it's like, is it the right background or structure that they've come from to come into your environment? Because they might be a lot more mature as an organization. That person's role is a lot more defined. There's actual to-dos that get done. That's how you move through the year, instead of that constant changing, constant evolving, that ambiguity that, hey, this isn't just a new priority and we're going to pivot quickly on a dime. It can be very frustrating for people, especially if their whole career has been in a different environment. That change is very difficult. It's not easy for a lot of people.
Right. Yeah, totally agree. And, there's certain profiles that we've seen be particularly successful in this environment. I may be biased, but I think that, consulting lends itself well to the startup world, and vice versa, by the way. Um, also thinking about individuals who have come from other technology players who have led this sort of change in other traditional industries in the past. And then, of course, thinking about people who have, worked in retail for some time, uh, and have been a part of our client organizations and have led other efforts within those retailers to build new practices or, innovate in new ways. All of those are profiles that have dealt with that similar degree of change and ambiguity. And those are the types of people that we see as being really impactful in our organization.
Yeah, those are really good points, good ones to mention. I also think you touched on it as well, that innovation element, but there's bigger companies that have like their skunk works or innovation labs and things like that operate as like a startup within a larger company. So the only thing that they don't really have is some of that financial uncertainty, which is great, but they're still operating in a similar way, quick iterations, quick projects, changing priorities, etc., smaller, leaner teams. So they're also good ones to look at. Yeah. So managing across teams and navigating Simbe's growth, it must offer a lot of learning opportunities for you and I'm sure your team as well. Can you share one of the most impactful leadership lessons that you've learned at Simbe or even just in your career in general?
Yeah. Um, I think what has been so refreshing about joining Simbe is we have this culture that is focused on a high degree of excellence and working really hard, but at the same time uh, is very kind and empathetic. And I'm a big believer that the nice guy doesn't always finish last, and actually you can be incredibly successful in business or technology or what have you, while also being a really empathetic leader. So that's something that I really have appreciated since joining Simbe, especially, but have always tried to embody with my teams. And then the other element is just being so customer obsessed. And what's also great about what we do at Simbe is we're always thinking a number of years out and looking at where the industry is going to go. But in terms of what we prioritize most in the immediate is chasing or rather meeting our customer needs as quickly as possible. And as soon as we're getting a signal from what our customer is looking for or how we can better serve them, we rally our teams incredibly quickly and are able to execute on that in days and weeks instead of, months and years.
Yeah, that's really great. So I have to ask controversial stuff I guess it's not that controversial because at this point, on the show and just being in the industry, we all know the benefits of robotics, but there's critics, obviously there's naysayers, there's critics out there and they argue, especially within like things like retail and logistics, that having more robots in the workplace, or this is obviously a very impactful product and does a lot of things continuously that humans aren't going to do. It makes sense for a robot to do, but it's a stepping stone. It will obviously grow, but it can eventually lead to fewer jobs in the sector, people say. How do you address that concern, or is it something that you've come across before?
So you're right. I mean, anytime you're talking about robotics or automation in any industry, it's something that gets brought up. Um, I think what has been unique about our experience working in retail today, retail is in this position where most retailers are dealing with a shortage of labor. There's a lot of work that they want to get done in their stores, and they don't always have enough people to do it. And so what's great about Simbe is we provide them with a little bit of extra space, and we give them some additional flexibility. And so we take all those tasks that actually are the tasks that humans don't want to be doing, and we then free those people up to focus on other things that they are going to find more fulfilling. We're also a big believer that humans and robots are better than either one on their own. We don't believe in a future where there's, just a bunch of robots running around and there's, no human in sight. And conversely,
That's
we
great.
know that humans are really good at interacting with other humans, and we should have them focus on that and not the things that are, almost machine-like. Um, what's also really interesting is, we worked with a lot of different clients now. We're in, almost 30 banners globally, and we haven't had a single client that has used our solution to cut labor. They're always in this
Really?
position of, we want to take the space that you're giving us so that we can focus on bigger and better things and drive innovation and growth in other parts of our business. So a
That's
little bit of a
huge.
look ahead.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's great. That's something great to share with people, with the people outside of the industry, general population that like to talk about the fear factor and just like to harp on that a lot of times, because it is a repeated thread that we talked about, that most of the industries that are adopting the technology have a shortage, have jobs that they don't want humans doing for a number of reasons, whether they're the dull, dirty, dangerous ones, or they're like, we have higher value opportunities for humans to do that robots can't do right now. Um, but that's really interesting that none of them have cut staff as well. Just proof's there, right?
Yeah.
Um, the solutions that you guys offer, again, general public, but outside looking in, sometimes think, hey, they're more tailored for big retail chains. But I think you mentioned already that you do both, right? Large ones and smaller ones. How do you see robotics fitting in for smaller retailers who might have limited resources and stuff like that, or even the overcoming the hurdle? We spoke about this offline, but those hurdles to adopting technology, whether it's cost or knowledge or whatever it is.
Right. Um, I can see why you would ask the question, and you're totally right. And I think what's interesting about robotics, in the past, companies that use robotics have often purchased the hardware outright, which it's really expensive technology. And so that oftentimes was very prohibitive. What's really great about Simbe is we provide a robot as a service business model. And so we can work with retailers, and instead of buying the robot, which is very expensive, they're just paying for it on a service basis. And we always work really closely with our clients to ensure that it makes sense for their business and that they're going to have a really strong return on investment. And, we're targeting in that range of, 15 to 20x ROI. And so usually it makes sense for them. The other element of what you were saying, which is just the small players, and, like a startup, being small can sometimes be an advantage. And some of our most innovative customers are also the smallest, and it's because they can move really quickly, and they can build those integrations that much faster and make the decisions that much faster as well. Sometimes half the battle is just, how does the decision get made? And when there's all these layers of bureaucracy, that can also slow things down. So what's unique about Simbe as well versus some of the other players in the market is we can come in and drop a robot, and we are collecting data and providing insights, which in a day, and then there's actions being taken in a week. And so it's really low lift for those customers as well, who might be concerned about, is this going to, strain my operations or kind of weigh down my stores as we're trying to figure this out.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't ever think about it like that. The smaller players are the easier ones to adopt the technology and are probably more innovative. It makes a ton of sense, like you said, those layers and approvals and all that. But interesting, very cool, very cool. So the industry is evolving quickly, robotics in general. Are there any trends or technologies that you're personally excited about, or that you see could be game changers for the industry?
Like you said, things are moving incredibly quickly. I think it will be really exciting to see what additional types of sensing come onto the market, both in terms of just the pure sensing technology, but also where and how that sensing is happening. I was talking about those different, capture modalities in the past, and, really getting to that point where there is effectively nothing in the store that the store is executing against that we can't identify, track, measure, and improve. So the future is very bright in that sense, as well as just thinking more and more about human acceptance. We're at this place where tally is one of the instances of robotics that is actually most common in society. You got like the Roomba and a few others, but I think when we look back, tally is going to be that kind of friendly face that people realize help to get them comfortable with robotics actually being part of society.
Yeah, love that. Okay. Well, look, thank you for being on the show. I know we're almost at time, but as a parting thought, is there any advice that you could offer to people that are looking to either enter the field of robotics or retail tech and have an impact?
Yeah, I mean, like many industries, I think everyone has to really reflect on what value are they bringing to the business, and ensuring that they have highly relevant skills to offer. And all of that is changing so quickly as we're seeing more and more in the way of automation and Gen AI and what have you. And I think there's kind of two ways to think about that. One is from the technology angle, and the other is from, the business and the societal context of where that technology shows up. And you can be an expert in either space, but really you need to be thinking about how am I going to bring value to this company and helping them navigate some of those challenges along the way. And ultimately like helping them to shape how those solutions will play out.
Right. It's good advice. And for our listeners that want to learn more about Simbe or connect with you personally and follow the journey of the company, where can they find the company? Where can they find you and follow along?
Yeah, we have lots of great information at simberobotics.com, as well as on LinkedIn. And always feel free to reach out, Benjamin Bond on LinkedIn. And looking forward to connecting with your listeners.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll link all of that in the show notes, just for ease for everyone. But look, Benjamin, thank you so much again for being on the show. Super insightful and ton of valuable information that you shared. I look forward to keeping in touch with you and obviously following along with yours and Simbe's journey and how you guys are going to use this next round and expand. It's going to be exciting times.
Likewise, Greg, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
Pleasure.